Hello everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to discuss about the maths concept that one should introduce post the child is familiar with number recognition, some basics of number bonds and number sense. So I'm just going to brief on here about what do I mean by number sense. So once the child associate that, 1 stands for 1 dot and say 10 stands for 10 dots, which is equivalent to 1 Dean's block, a tens rod, okay? And then the child can make different numbers using Dean's block. That's like 5 rods of 10 and 5 dots over here like this. 5 cubes of ones together make 54. So once a child is comfortable doing this, these are the manipulatives that I always talk about, which can be either Dean's block or, just to have more visualization, more sense of accomplishment in the child, you can use notes and coins. Okay, so notes and coins, I feel you should have 10 rupees notes with you, say 10 pieces of that, and some coins in different denominations like 1 to 5. You can also have a 10 rupee coin, and with this, the child can make 10 using different ways, like say 1 5 rupee coin and say 1 2 2. There are many combinations, permutation and combination over here, through which the child can make 10. And that's where, we've spent some time how to make 10. After the child is comfortable in making tens, you have to double check on their number bonds, okay? That how can they make 7, a 4 and a 3 is a 7, a 2 and a 5 is a 7, a 1 and a 6 is a 7, and it works both the way, which is known as associative property. Okay, so 3 plus 4 is similar to 4 plus 3. 2 plus 5 is similar to 5 plus 2, 6 plus 1. So at the same time, these are pre-algebra skills which, if introduced right from the beginning, right from the basic years, it's not going to be intimidating when actually in grade 5 or 6 algebra concepts are introduced to children. Okay, so we are working on equation formation also. Okay, but don't be too rigorous and don't be too perfectionist over here that the child should master it. Right now, you just have to expose them that equations are like this. Okay, and after few months or even few years, you will see that how the child naturally is acquainted with such equations. Okay, now moving on to the next concept. Now that the child is familiar with number bonds and knows how to make the numbers, I want to check the number sense. Okay, so in number sense, I will write some numbers randomly. Okay, and I'm going to ask the child to fill up the blank over here. Okay, 11, 12, and 13. The child can do it easily. Okay, now next, what I can do is I can write stuff like this and say this. Now, the child, this is a critical thinking question. Now, do you think a child can do it or not? I'm not sure. You have to give this question and test their critical thinking ability. Now, the first thing that will come to their mind is, okay, this is 11, this is 8. What is it? I just don't understand. What is it? So you will see, you have to ask them, is it in increasing order or decreasing order? So 11 and 8, the number is ending with 8. So definitely we are moving from a higher number to a lower number, okay? Which means it is in decreasing order. So 11, what comes before 11? 10 and then 9. Now, this sort of writing often confuses a child because the child knows that if I'm writing 10, after 10, I always write a higher number. And here they will see a lower number. So again, this is something that you have to check. But over time, such confusion vanishes, okay? But you have to acknowledge all the doubts that will be raised by your child. Okay, you just need to just touch the topic that, this is an arrangement. This is an arrangement of descending order. So here the numbers are going to be in this way, you know, like you see over here, this is descending, so the number is going to be in this way. If it is ascending, a higher number comes after the first or after the previous number. Okay, so this was my way of checking number sense. The next most important topic is whole tens ka concept. Now, what is a whole ten? Whole tens are these numbers which doesn't have anything in their units place, but we cannot explain it in this definitive manner, like a definition to your child. The child has to understand a number that has zero in its unit place, or a number that is formed by just using the tens rod and no cubes, that is no ones. It's a whole 10. The reason why I'm asking you to introduce this to your child is because to reach this concept of rounding off, the child should know the whole 10 concept. Simple. 46. What are the two whole tens in this number, okay, before and after? So there is a 40 and there is a 50. So this is where I would want the child's clarity in whole tens, that he or she can easily tell me the numbers before and after, the whole tens before and after a particular number. And after this, I'm going to say the nearest whole tens concept, which is actually rounding off, nearest whole 10. So from numbers, say 41 to 44, or say a 40 to a 44, the rounding off is 40. And once the number with 5 in its ones place, 5 and beyond, okay, it becomes the next whole 10. All right. So if I write a number that is 45, it is 50. If I write 46, it is 50. If I write 49, it is 50. And of course, a 50 is a 50. If I write a 41, then the nearest whole 10 is a 40. 42, nearest whole 10 is a 40, 43, 44. So this is something that you have to parallelly work, this whole tens concept. Next is addition. Now, moving on to addition, you will be definitely amazed to see how influential number bonds are in addition. And your child can automatically tell you that a 5 and a 3 is 8, or a 6 and a 2 is 8. This is something that they are very fluent in speaking without even counting on their fingers, because of the constant drill that we have been doing so far using the number bonds concept and the manipulatives. So now when I give them numbers like, let's add 2-digit numbers. Right now, these numbers were from 1 to 5, right? In between 1 to 5, or, a 6 and a number that is such that it makes a 10. Okay. We've not gone to any number beyond 10. Right now, I want to move on numbers beyond 10, which means that a 6 plus 5 is an 11. So how am I going to teach this to a child? A child knows that a 6 and 4 is 10, and a 5 is 1 more than 4. So 11 is going to be 1 more than 10. It is not that easy. This observation often comes naturally to few kids, only few I'm mentioning here, and majority of them needs to be shown. So that's exactly what you're going to do. You are going to show them that 6 plus 5 can be bifurcated as 6 plus 4 plus 1. Now 6 and a 4 becomes a 10 because of a prior knowledge of number bonds of 10. And now we are left with 1, and 10 plus 1 is 11. So I may have missed out if we teach them making teen numbers. We teach them this, making teen numbers like a 10 and a 1, a 10 and a 2, a 10 and a 3. They will be very easy in doing the previous concept that I have just mentioned. Along with this, because of the knowledge of number bonds, they know a 1 plus 4 is a 5. So a 10 plus 50 is also going to be 60. Now, you can do it with the help of manipulatives. you are going to have one 10 crore. Now the child has five 10 crore here. If combined together, when combined together, they have a total of 610 crore, right? 610s rod. Now, what is 610? They will say 60, and that's how over practice they are going to say that a 20 and a 50 is a 70. That's a later stage. In before reaching that point, you have to do a lot of manipulative addition along with equations. Okay, so you have a sheet, say a 10 and a 20. Ask the child to make them with their Dean's block. Now ask them to put it together. How many tens do you see? The child is going to be to answer that. Uh, I see three tens, okay, and then you're going to say, what are three tens? Then the child says it's a 30. Eventually, they're going to do 10 plus 20 as like 1 and 2 is 3, and so it is 30, okay? So it takes time. For some kids, it's naturally there, naturally present there. Okay, so coming back to addition of numbers beyond 10, whose sum is beyond 10, okay? So 6 plus 6. Now, doubling concept is also something that has to be by-hearted, that 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, etc. 5 and a 5 is 10. A 6 and a 6 is 12, or 7 and a 7 is 14. This has to be by-hearted, as well as if you can explain it to them, that is also fine. But once they are practicing it a lot of times, it becomes easy for them to remember, okay? And a 10 and a 10 is 20. So how am I going to teach my child 6 plus 6? Firstly, yaad kar lo. Otherwise, a 4 and a 2. 6 can be broken down through 4 and 2. Again, this is possible. This breakdown is possible because of number bonds solid understanding. Otherwise, a child cannot break it down. Okay. Now, how am I going to be like, okay, come with 4 and 2? Because we will say that let's make this 6 as a 10. So tell me, dear, how many more dots, or which number are you going to need to make this 6 a 10? 6 needs a 4 to become a 10. So from where will 6 get a 4? We can ask this friend 6. So 6 will be broken into 4. And what is left? 2. This 6 and this 4 pairs up and they form a 10. And we are left with a 2. And 10 and 2 becomes 12. Now see, it may sound little overwhelming right now. But again, I'm telling you, this practice of breaking down the numbers with the help of number bonds will help the child reach that level. Okay. Now, firstly, if you ask me how to approach this concept of breaking into the different number bonds. So we will start with a 9. 9 plus 8. 9 plus 6. It is very easy. Let's look at this particular problem. A 9 plus 8. I'm going to ask my child, okay, this is 9, and we know 10 plus any number becomes very easy. So let us make this 9 a 10. How much this 9 needs to be a 10? So the child will say a 1. Who is going to give 1 to this 9? So 8 is going to give. So let's break it into 1. And how much will 8 be left with? 7. And then become a 10, and 10 and 7 becomes 17. Practice it couple of times and it comes. After 9, do it with 8. Again, 8 and 2 is 10. This is exactly where number bonds of making 10 ka concept comes, right? That 6 plus 4 is a 10. Okay, 8 plus 2, 7 plus 3, 9 plus 1, 5 plus 5. All these make a 10, and that's where it's going to be very easy. So 8 needs to be a 10. Either 7 can also be a 10. Ask the child to choose a higher number. So 7 ko you have to break down. Again, number bonds concept. If you take away 2, 7 is left with 5. The child doesn't even count. They have done this particular operation ample amount of time that they know by heart that a 2 and a 5 is a 7. I have personally observed that. My child tells me, okay, then that if you have taken 2, now it is left with 5. Now, parents, trust me, the only thing that you need to have here is patience and trust that this is going to work. This patience can take up to 1 year to see its result, but this 1 year is much better than a child facing difficulty in 6th grade, because then you cannot undo the things. Okay, so it's okay to start slow, go at a slow pace. Okay, make sure that the child is understanding everything. Now this 8 and 2 becomes a 10, and a 10 and a 5 is 15. In a similar way, you have to do it for all different numbers. Okay, like a 7 and a 6, so you can make 7 as a 10 by this, and this becomes a 13. Okay, and now 6 and 7 can also be done another way. That 7 is 6 and 1. We know that a 6 and 6 is 12, and it becomes 13. This is another way of doing. So no two, I would not say this way is wrong or the other way is wrong. It is just that the child should know how to do mental maths calculation through these visualization steps. Once he can do with this, you can also tell them that, this is also another way of solving. Next topic here is a 12 plus something plus 3 is equal to, say, a 17. And how am I going to explain the child to do this? Now, this is a 12. So 12 and the 3 becomes 15, and then 2 again is 17. That is one way. Or we can ask them to look at just the 1. So this is 1. Here I have no 1, and this is 1. And here we have 7 in its ones place. So 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 and 2 makes 7. So that is another way of doing the calculation. After making numbers till 20, you have to introduce them to fact family. Now, fact family is similar to the fact family of 6, 10, 8, that, there are many, many ways to make number 8, a 1 and a 7, 2 and a 6, 3 and a 5, 4 and a 4, and so on, and so on. So this was for 8, and suppose if I say let's make 12. So in 12 there would be many ways. Okay, a 2 and a 10 makes a 12, so they are the same family. A 6 and a 6 makes 12, they are same family. They should be taught how to write the equation in 4 ways, which is 2 plus 10 is equal to 12, 10 plus 2 is equal to 12, 12 minus 2, 12 minus 10. These are the practice that is required here. Okay, this is 10. This is 10 over here, okay? Moving on to this sort of addition, they can do it very easily, where you have one as a whole 10 and the other as just a 1. Okay, so they'll say it's a 22. Verbally ask them a 50 and what is equal to 56. This may be easy, but if I give something like this, it's going to be difficult for few. They have to just think that they have 6 rupees. How many more do they need to make a 46? So they are going to say 40. It will take some time. Use manipulatives wherever it is required. After they do this, just check if they are familiar with this concept, this equation. Now slowly move on to a 20 plus a 13. Mind it, one of my number will always be a whole number, like a whole 10. Not a whole number, these are all whole numbers. One will be a whole 10 and the other is going to have some number in its ones place. How to teach this to a child? We'll ask them to break a 10, or divide the 10 and whole, and that's where the concept of decomposition comes into play. These are just terms, don't get overwhelmed here. So if I write 54, the child should be able to decompose it into 50 and a 4. 63, they should break it with whole tens, like a 60 and a 3. Okay, use Dean's block to do this. It's very easy. Sometimes I see that a child write 5 tens and they can sometimes write it as 50 tens also. So make sure if you are saying tens, the child is going to write 5 here. Ones, So this is 56, okay? And if you have written tens here, a child who pays attention to all the detail is going to write a 5 and a 6 here, okay? So make sure it has to be like a 50 and a 6. Now, once this concept is done, we will move on to this question that I have shared here with you. How to add 20 plus 13. I will ask the child to break it like this, okay? 13 is broken as 10 and 3. Very easy. Add the tens, add the ones. So it becomes a 30 plus 3, 33. Okay, I'll give you one more example here. I have a 46 and I have a 20. How will I ask my child to do it? I'll ask them to break it. This becomes a 40, this becomes a 6. Now add the tens separately, add the ones separately. Answer is 66. Now the last one, because in grade 1, this is the last operation. They need to know addition and subtraction without borrowing or without carry forward. So now 63 plus 26, ask them to divide. These are the step-by-step way, as I have mentioned. This becomes a 20 and 6. Add the tens, add the tens. 89. Practice 100% is required. I have not covered subtraction here because I feel first they have to be very much comfortable with addition, and then naturally subtraction comes into play, because teaching them subtraction is challenging again, okay? And there are many ways to teach subtraction. You can teach subtraction through addition also. For example, 16 minus 3 is equal to what? Okay, so I'm going to say, what do I need to add to a 3 to make a 16? Okay, so the child is like, let's add 10. Okay, then it becomes a 13. How much more do I need? Another 3. So 10 and a 3 is 13. So there are many ways to do it, parents, right now. But in today's video, my major focus was on addition, going it all the way to adding such numbers where no carry forward is required. Okay, carry forward is something where composition concept comes. Okay, composition is something, composition of numbers means that I have to, composition of numbers means I have to combine the numbers. Okay, like 6 and a 4 becomes a whole 10, and then it is carried to the next number. So I'm not going to take that in today's video. I hope this was an interesting and informative one. Do like, subscribe, and write your comments down below so that it motivates me to make more. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, guys, and share with your loved ones.